a few just administrative and transitional, as opposed to closing comments from me. After my very brief remarks, I'll then turn the time to Violaine Mitchell of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who will make some transition remarks. We have to redo the whole workbook now, Matthew. First of all, just a quick reminder, there are no formal evening events planned this evening. This is an opportunity for you to gather informally with friends, with colleagues, to find someplace nearby, to enjoy Barcelona a little bit this evening. For those of you who provided posters, A, thank you very much. B, please, if you would like, take them home with you. We brought them from Seattle, but we don't need to return them to Seattle. So if it would be helpful for you, feel free to take it back to where you are. They're out in the hall. Those that were removed are by the little desk right here, so you can collect them. The others are on the board still. On behalf of the planning and facilitation team, I wanted to say thank you. This has been a real honor and privilege for us. I also wanted us collectively to recognize and appreciate, perhaps with a round of applause, the amazing hotel staff that has done so much for us this week. Melissa, who is back here in the back of the room, Melissa, if you'll wave, she has sort of led her team who has done all of this. And then also Tony, our videographer, who's done all the videography these 2 days. And also silently working diligently and crewing all of this in the back of the room are Paco, David, and Christian. Thank you very much. It really has been a fantastic 2 days, and it's been a pleasure for us to be part of it. And thank you all. I hope, like Matthew said, that this doesn't end, but this goes back with you the rest of this week, next week, when you get into work on Monday, etc., that much of what you have heard and learned during these 2 days will stay with you. I will now turn the time to Violaine Mitchell, and thank you.
These are not closing remarks. These are transitional remarks. Zeigarnik effect. In fact, there are a whole bunch of things I wanted, to say now that I'd thought about last night, but actually I've tossed them all out. But I do want to start off with what I did think about and what we've all thought, which is a really huge thank you to each and every one of you for coming and for being part of this second Teach to Reach. And we're just really so grateful to you. We think we're really on an exciting journey here. And I really also want to take a moment to thank the advisory committee, who I know have been sitting over here. And if you could please just wave your hands again. I want to give you a huge round of applause for all the work you've done. And the planning committee, and I know we thanked many of them, but let's please thank them again, because they've really brought us all here and done a great job. Similar to last year, I'm finding myself really inspired, a little bit awestruck, frankly, to learn more about learning science, instructional design, and really most of all awed by how much all of you have really participated and driven us along here. And, as I was in the Orange group that struggled, to find our purpose, and at times I felt that Julie Dirksen had showed a slide yesterday of, the brain that was blue when it was calm and it knew what it was doing, and then when the glucose was going, and I felt all of us in our room we were just glucose heavy. And then I thought maybe that wasn't it, and then I thought a bit more, and, I signed up for the incentivizing group because I just thought, that's it, we're gonna fix this, and I went in like a bubbly little helium balloon, and after each lecture, I found myself getting a little bit more deflated and a little bit more humbled, and learning more along the way that, when incentives change the focus of what you do, be prepared, that rewards, we were so focused on really learning about intrinsic and extrinsic passion, how we want to move to intrinsic, and that sometimes rewards, the long-term impact of rewards is actually to destroy that passion that people have. So, and I felt, I haven't actually shared this with any of my other colleagues in the Orange group, but I think some of them probably felt a little the same too. And, but I also felt that we were also looking at, every time we would look at something in this process of the last 2 days, a bit like those Russian dolls, where you open one up and you find another one, and you find another one, and then you find another one. And I think that's a lot of the journey we're on. But I think we're in a really fortunate time in immunization now, because we can really draw on this incredible experience and paradigm shift in adult learning, instructional design that has really come about in the last 10 years. And so we don't have to wait another 30, 40 years. We can actually take that now and really move it forward. And I also want to mention, at the foundation, we like to think we can make big bets and that we learn, and we really encourage people to take risks. And one of the biggest investments we ever made actually was in US education. And we made a $650 million bet that investment that actually shrinking school size would improve learning outcomes. And what we actually discovered at the end of this process was that actually school size had no impact whatsoever on learning outcomes. But upon reflection, taking lesson number 9 and working with a lot of people, what really turns out to matter is teacher excellence and the support structures around that create that learning environment. And that's now led to a whole lot of new thinking in the US. And obviously in the US and North America, we're far away from a perfect education system. But some people have said to our co-chairs, well, that was a $650 million failure. And they're the first to jump on it and say, no, that wasn't a failure at all. We tried, something didn't work, we learned a lot, and we're moving on. And I think, with the Bull City Learning RFP, which, I hope everyone in this room and beyond will really take the opportunity to try new things in learning and apply them, and not be afraid if things don't work. That's how we really will learn. So to take risks is really what I'm encouraging all of us to do, and not to be afraid of taking risks. And Molly and Amanda and I had an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the commitments we would make from the foundation. And we obviously need to reflect a bit more, but there are things that we think could be valuable moving forward. Would love your feedback. One is we're thinking it would be very helpful to continue this conversation. And whether this is a Teach to Reach that we meet at globally, or whether this is a Teach to Reach that's Teach to Reach Ethiopia, where you can share it more with other colleagues, I don't know. But we'd love your feedback if this is something to be continued, but that would be something to think about. The other one that we think we can take on immediately is in our grant making. I can't think of too many of our grants that doesn't have a training or a workshop component. And one of the things we've talked about is actually probably, and I hate to use the word require, but strongly encourage that an expert with instructional design and someone with a background in learning science be actually brought along in the process, so that those workshops, whatever they are, whether they're for cold chain equipment or training health workers, or that we actually start to bring in this from the very, very get-go. So that's a commitment we will make in our grants. And we'd also, the whole issue here of measurement, and having Stephanie wherever she is, she was around here, there she is, really pushing us to think much more about measurement, but continuous measurement, and asking the questions, of all the way along, and validation. So really bringing that together. So those are some of the initial things that we think we can really move in on pretty quickly, and we'd like your feedback. Are those right, wrong? Do you think we're going forward? So really, in transition, not closing, we hope that everyone really here is able to take time to reflect on what we can each commit to this process of improving learning in countries and around the world. Now, we are going to be sending out a SMILE survey. In all fairness, we did have one ready, but after the lecture we had, we decided we would go back and redo it a little bit. So in a couple of weeks, you're going to get a SMILE survey. And we'd love you to complete it and to please give us feedback, because we truly value your input. And what I'd also like to do is I'm going to ask everybody, in addition to my big thanks to each and every one of you, and I really want to also call out some of the other donor partners who've come to this meeting, like Sarah and Emmanuel. I think it's just great to have you here. But I really, most of all, want to thank the countries who've come. It's a long way, it's a huge commitment, but I'm really, really thrilled that we can all do this together. But what I would like you all to do, in addition to my thanks, is to invite you up for a group photo. And the photographer thinks if we all line up around here, they'll be able to squeeze us all in. And while doing that, I want to say thank you very, very much for coming. A huge thank you, a profuse thank you, and wishing you all a very safe travel home. So come on up. Oh! And I completely forgot, which is typical of me, but these were the things that you said you wanted out of this year. So reflect on that as you're walking up. This is what you wanted out of this year's conference. So as we send you the SMILE survey in a few weeks, think about whether we met these needs. So thank you. Come on up, though, for the photo, please.